And finally, it is here. The official Western Conference podcast. I know people has been waiting for this to come about. My brother Westafa, how you doing, bro?
I'm chilling, man. Good to be here.
See, come on. This is the first time in a long time that we normally get up together on stage. But now we're here, the official episode 1 of the Western Conference podcast.
New venture, baby. Let's go.
And when I say new venture, you guys already know me. I've been in this realm for a minute, but it's definitely good to kind of get into a nice home studio. Shout out Sticky Paw Studios. But we're here to give you the first Western Conference podcast because we're already on stage.
Yeah.
We already do stuff with the artists. But now it's that time to give you entrepreneurs, athletes, fighters, and people that we have resources to, and just people that we don't. Because we got to find out, without being on stage, what they're all about. Right, Wes?
Yes, sir.
So because you coming from Los Angeles, so people want to know where the Western Conference name comes from. I'll let you give you the first part of it out, and I'll finish that out. Where did Western Conference come from, Wes?
Well, I mean, I would like to say now, Western Conference basically represents the West Coast. You represent the Bay, I represent LA, and Hawaii.
And don't get us wrong, we still got love for the East Coast and everybody across the world. We just happen to be from the West.
Yep.
Yeah, so you being from Southern California, myself being from Northern California, Western Conference is synonymous with what we do.
Synonymous, and it's funny because I was thinking about it one time, and I was like, "My name is Westafa, your name is Cisco."
It goes deep. It goes deep.
Yeah, this is like one of them smoking weed moments.
Yeah,
so
it goes deep.
Western Conference, if you put it together and shorten it Westco,
yeah,
that's like West and Cisco.
Everyone's still scratching their head at this point, but you also got to look at what the element is. Western Conference, for those who don't know, is the Western Conference of the NBA. Yep. That's all the West Coast teams from Golden State Warriors, the Lakers, the Clippers. And that when we do shows, it kind of made sense that you being from LA and me being from San Francisco, we represented the West. And when we're with J Bug and we're with, Common Kings and all these artists that we do these festivals with, we used to do a West Coast set. And we was, especially on the West Coast, of course, you're going to get that back and forth with the crowd because we're representing the West.
Yep.
But we don't want it to turn into an East Coast, West Coast battle.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it just kind of came about naturally. You know what I mean? Like just doing shows with you.
Yeah.
And
because that's what people don't know. Like the shows that we did do, you were doing your own shows.
Yep.
But give everybody a little bit of background for those who don't know who Westafa is.
Well, I'm me. I mean, just a selected DJ from LA, and Hawaii also, and just somebody that tries to do things a little bit different than the average, And
when you say DJing, how long ago did you start DJing?
Man, I started DJing like right out of high school, about 15, 20 years ago.
Now, did you start off with the 1200s and the whole thing, or what was your first piece of equipment?
Well, so, it's funny, like people ask me how did I get involved in it, and one of my best friends growing up, his neighbor was older than us, and he was a DJ. Him and his brother had a rap group. He was the DJ, his brother was the rapper. So we'd come home, and I'd go kick it at his house, and the big homie was in his garage just DJing. So we'd go over there and kick it. He'd be smoking, and I would sit there and like, dang, this shit's pretty tight.
And kind of see what he was doing on turntables.
Yeah, like it was pretty dope. And I mean, I knew of DJing just from hearing it on records, NWA and stuff like that. But
and this was the era of vinyl. So you're getting this all when vinyl was out, when he was doing vinyl records.
Yep.
We didn't have no Serato back then.
Nah, it was, and living in LA, we'd had like spots that we could go to that were underage clubs.
Yeah.
So it was a little
They were like
bit
the
after,
18 and under clubs?
Yeah, but it was a little bit after that time. So this is an elementary school.
Got it.
Come home, go to the homie's house. The homie would be DJing. And I was like, man, that's pretty tight. And I remember going to like music stores and seeing a DJ setup. And I'd always be drawn to it. Like, man, this is pretty tight. So then fast forward after high school, I ended up getting a DJ setup, and would just be like, and my homies were into it.
Who got you the first setup? What did you have?
My brother helped me get it. My brother helped me get it.
Because you always remember who the first person was to get you your actual equipment.
My
you know
brother
what I mean?
had to basically co-sign to help me finance it.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, hold on, you financed the DJ stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was that expensive back then.
Yeah, it was like, I want to say it was probably like $2,500.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that kind of money, so my brother helped me out, and so just got going from there. And then like it was kind of like like skateboarding or you know what I'm saying, like riding a bike or BMXing or whatever. It was like something that my homies were into too. You know what I'm saying? So a couple of the homies had got a little setup. I had my setup, and
that's normally how it starts. Like your friends, kind of you guys all get into the same thing. Oh, you're DJing, your friends DJing,
sports, same thing. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like my homies. You know, we were all into it, and then I want to say I was one of the first ones to get it. So anyhow, from there just it moved to like just doing parties. We do house parties and stuff, our own little parties, and
you guys were throwing these parties.
Yeah, it would just be like somebody's having a party. All right, cool. Yeah. We'll bring the DJ set up, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember this one homie we did a party for. He used to do a club in Huntington Beach. And he was like, "Yo, can you come DJ the?"
And that was the goal at that time. At that point in time, that was like, if you're doing these house parties, the goal is to get to a club.
Yeah, just get to a gig, and a gig that we paying something, you know.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I went to do the gig, and I was like, I don't know, I would say I was 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, well, if you're not 21, you can't do the thing."
Oh, so this is a 21 and over club that he was having. Okay.
21 and over club. So I was like, "Well, all right." And they said, "Well, just do your set, and then as soon as you're done, you got to leave."
Like at that age and at that time, are you like, man, I don't know what to play? Because you kind of know what your genre is.
Man,
at that time.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
What was your genre though?
It was hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was a hip hop head, and that set was shitty as, you know what I mean? Like I can think back on it to it right now.
Yeah.
Like, yo,
you got to give yourself. You're nervous at that point in time.
Yeah.
You're a youngster.
Yeah, I mean, I had my idea of what I liked,
yeah,
but I didn't have the understanding of like, yo, you're in a club, you gotta play music for everybody.
Exactly.
You know? And it kind of took me a while to realize like, yo, if you want to do this as a business, you have to understand you either have a lane or, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to get in where you fit in. So
that didn't discourage you when you had that first shitty set, right?
Nah.
It kind of like say, okay, now I kind of know what to play next time.
I mean, it wasn't like that spot wasn't a crazy like cracking club where it was super packed. You know what I mean? It was whatever, but it was a good learning experience, you know.
And when you talk about DJing, people don't know once you get in front of a crowd, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Like once you get the crowd and you kind of think you know what you're gonna play. Like we do that today. We see these crowds like at Cali Roots. We do Cali Roots, and you look onto the crowd. There's tens of thousands of people out there, but you got everybody from white, Mexican, black, from every kind of background that you kind of like. Okay, I was gonna play this type of music. Then you got to open up your whole system to see what you're going to play for those people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely learned that, you know, as time went on, is just how to read a room and how to, you know, adjust.
Say it again, Wes. Read the room.
Yeah, you got to read the room, man, because, you know, if you're just playing for yourself, then it's like you could just do that at home.
Well, see, I take that back. Now that I'm a little bit older now, like, when I was younger and I was DJing, I wanted to like play for everybody. Now that I'm older, I don't give a shit. I'm just like, I'm gonna play what I play.
Yeah.
Now, and if you don't like it, you can get the fuck. That's just me. That's not everybody, but I'm saying because I've gotten that record to kind of say, okay, I've did all these parties and kind of did the requests. Now I'm like, no requests from me. Don't ask me what song you want to hear. If you don't like what I'm playing, then it's probably I'm the asshole DJ. Is that what the asshole is?
Yeah, you're that guy that you know is gonna make the room leave.
Yeah. It is.
But I mean, you know, it's everyone has their own style and how they want to do their thing, you know. But like, I don't know. It was a learning experience to learn that, because at one point I was like that. You know what I'm saying? Where I would just play like what I wanted to play.
Now, were you just doing blends back then, or you were doing like the whole turntablisms and the scratches and the loops and the breaks?
Well, I mean, no, I was definitely into like turntablism. You know, I came up in the hip hop era, and that was my first experience with DJing was playing hip hop. So, and you know, at that time, DJing was big. You know what I'm saying? Like where I come from, same with you.
It was a pinnacle,
You know, it was like crews, hip hop crews,
exactly.
DJ
we had like
crews,
triple threat DJs. Yeah, everybody.
Scratch pickles, beat junkies. You know, so you know, I was fortunate to be around that environment and see that type of DJing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I wasn't at that level. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't really trying to be at that level.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Did you see yourself being on that level of turntablism?
No, I wasn't. I mean, I liked basically just cutting, you know, here and there and stuff like that, but it was never my thing to like, because competitions were big at the time.
ITF? You had all the international turntable?
Yeah, scratch battles and all that stuff. I was never like trying to do it to that level. I just wanted to rock a party. You know?
And not that, like you were talking about earlier, to this day, like Shortcut and everybody that came from these DJ crews, I grew up in that time too. So my story is a little bit different. Like we're kind of introducing you guys to who me and Westafa are and how we got involved with music. Him getting his DJ stuff. I was the guy who loved music, but didn't have the DJ equipment.
Yeah.
You know, and I couldn't afford it. And I would see Shortcut and everybody, doing mixes. I was like, well, how much are turntables? Yeah. And at that time, we couldn't afford it as a family. Yeah. So my DJing was recording songs off the radio with the cassette tape and kind of mixing it that way.
Yeah.
And people were like, that's not DJing. Yeah. But I was such a music lover that it was like, that's how I did my thing. And then when I finally got old enough to buy my own stuff, then I started to say, okay. But by that time, I was okay, maybe I passed the turntablism phase of, the cutting and the scratching, because I was like, let Shortcut and all them do that now. I was just
shout out to Shortcut, man.
Shout out Shortcut. Shout out all the DJs out there, man. Mixmaster Mike, a lot of these legends who've been doing it with, Beastie Boys and, Cypress Hill. So shout out to them. But when they come to what we do, we're more of a party type thing, because I'm more of a party DJ where I know what song I want to play to get this particular crowd hype. And I think that's what me and you came into to be.
Well, and like I feel like it was a certain time period where that was the thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I mean, I don't know. Now it feels like people don't want to stand there and watch somebody just cut it up for a whole hour.
Yeah, no disrespect to the DJ that's doing that, but I think partying these days.
But you got to be able to, find that balance to be able to mix it. You know what I'm saying? Because some dudes that are just scratch DJs, they can't really rock a party.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because they're so technical in what they do.
Yeah, but not to take nothing away from them, but is. To me, I always felt like, me personally, I felt like the dopest DJs are the ones that could cut it up, but then also
and still rock the party.
Rock a party.
And that takes me to like where I grew up with My Emotion and a lot of DJs from the Bay Area that I partied with. I would see them do this, and how I got into my MCing where I couldn't afford the DJ equipment, so I was like, what's the next thing? Yeah. So I seen the microphone next to the DJ.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so how do you kind of like rock a party? We come from the days of Kid Capri and seeing them do the same thing on the mic and kind of just saying, okay, if the DJ's busy doing that, maybe I could be the voice of the DJ. So, and then it takes me back to Hawaii where B-Cat, shout out my brother B-Cat, he went to a party and a DJ was mixing. He was on the mic. He's not a DJ or nothing. He knows music.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are out there trying to get on the mic when you do go to these clubs, make sure you know music. Because I think that's a key with all these people that are going there, because B-Cat actually controlled the crowd with the mic and he knew all the breaks, when the song... And that kind of was inspiring to me to be, okay, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I may not be able to do the whole Kid Capri DJing thing and all that, but I know the music and I know I can do that.
Yeah.
So ever since that day, I went back home from Hawaii and we just, whether they liked it or not, I hopped up next to the DJ. I was like, oh, let me get the mic. A lot of DJs don't like people getting on the mic.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing. Like, oh man, turn this dude's mic off. But a lot of the DJs that I did it with, they were like, okay, Cisco kind of knows his shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He kind of knows the breaks of the song. He kind of knows how these people are feeling. So I did it with DJ Quick. Like every big DJ that came to the Bay Area, I made sure I was there, and whether they liked it or not, I was on the mic. Like I did, and they were like, "Oh, just let Cisco get on the mic." And then people were like, "Oh, how much do you charge to do that?" Then I was like, "Okay, light bulb.
Yep,
I could get paid to do this."
Yeah.
So clubs were saying, "Hey, we got this DJ coming to town. We want you to do the mic. How much do you charge?" So I was like, "Oh, just give me a cut." Yeah, hosting.
Yeah.
And when you were a host back there in the club days, you were just hosting by giving out flyers and kind of doing your part. Mine was actual hosting. Mine was like the epitome of master of ceremonies, like you and the mic and talking to people and what the reaction was going to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of catapulted me into the industry where they say, okay, Cisco's the dude that can get down on the mic. Mm-hmm. So at every party I did, the promoter would say, how much do you charge? And, at that time, I didn't have no managers or, booking agents at that time. So I was just like, oh, well, email. That's what emails were coming out to. Email this. It was Big Body Cisco's manager at Yahoo. But it was really just going to me.
Yeah.
But it was because to kind of give them.
You got to play the role, man.
You got to play the role. You got to fake it till you make it somehow.
Yeah.
But I was telling them, email us here at Big Body Cisco's manager at Yahoo, and we'll tell you the pricing. And I would actually get the email, hey, we want to hire Cisco for this thing. So I'm talking in third person through my emails. So I'm like, oh, you know what? We'll do it for $500 plus a bottle of such and such.
That's that Bay Area game. You know what I'm saying?
That's that independent hustle right there. If you guys don't know, that's the independent hustle. I'm giving you guys some real good nuggets, especially come from us two, because we've been through this game where we done seen it all. We done seen the bad, the good, and the ugly.
Yep.
Where, there's these promoters that, man, we didn't do too well tonight. That sounds like a you problem to me. Yeah. That definitely sounds like a you problem, because if you can't pay your artist, your DJ, whoever contributed that night that shouldn't be on you to say, oh, we had a slow night. That's not on me. That's what I always kind of thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the highs and lows of it, you know.
And you guys are definitely going to go through highs and lows, and that's why I like kind of having this pilot episode of our Western Conference podcast to kind of show you guys what we came from. We did all the stuff that you guys, are talking about now, the newer DJs. We've been through that trouble and that give and take with promoters and booking agents and artists and people that don't respect, because what we do now, which is a show, Western Conference, is still not respected, that I think that people don't really give too much kudos to. Because, they always, I can just have my cousin introduce the act. Or if they have a festival or things like, man, who could bring out the next artist? This is an art. We made this an art where it's like people will pay us top dollar to do what we do. We get the crowd going first. We kind of set them up for these artists. Like, how would you describe what we do for these artists that are coming to these festivals?
Well, festivals, I mean, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But touring and stuff, concerts, it's basically just like the alley-oop. You know what I'm saying? You setting them up, and sometimes whether the headliner likes it or not, they gotta match the energy.
The energy. Tell them that. Come on, Wes.
I mean, that's what it is,
And not to take anything from any headliners that we have worked with before, but if you know what kind of show you're going to get with me and Wastafa, and you kind of come down, and what we say before, the energy was high. But when they came out, the energy was low.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing. It's just, I think you got to keep up with us. And how we became about is you were doing your thing, I was doing my thing, and my manager at the time, Brandon, he was like saying, you and Wastafa have a good rapport together.
Yeah.
You know your music, I know my music, and kind of I think I did a few shows that you were DJing, and I kind of hopped on the mic.
Yeah, it was a good handful of shows.
Yeah.
And
before we even did Western Conference, it was a good handful of shows.
Yeah, it was just a natural progression, like you basically what we do now.
Yeah.
But it was back then, and you having worked with other DJs, me having worked with other MCs, and when you came with the idea, you and Brandon, I was with it, man.
And that's so hard to find somebody that's going to match your vibe.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we came from, where, Wes being from LA and me being from San Francisco. And we always have this joke. Hey, go ahead, Wes.
Cisco's really from LA, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys didn't know, he reps the Bay Area, but he's really from
Look,
from
I'm going to give you a quick story. We lived in Long Beach. So we lived in Long Beach, California, and, in Southern California at the time. But I was born in the Bay. But when we were living in Long Beach, this is when the gangs were big, the SOS and the Crips and the Bloods. And me and my brothers were about to get jumped into a gang, and my dad was like, we're moving to the Bay. So, it's not like I take anything away from Long Beach or Southern California.
There you have it, folks. But on the record.
You want to say where you're from, where you grew up at, as far as, I was still goo goo gaga back then. I was still barely starting elementary school.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could say that.
He does that all the time, because when I do a Bay Area set, Wes will be like, you guys do know he's from Long Beach, right? But in all, it's a California love thing, right?
California love, yes, sir.
You hear Western Conference Podcast, me, your boy Big Body Cisco, my brother Wastafa. So look, I'm going to start asking you some questions.
All right, let's get it.
What are some artists that you've already worked with? Because, we don't want to name drop, but for you guys to realize what we do and how we do it, you got to let them know who you've worked with in your past and what we've done.
Well, I mean, so, going back to when I first started DJing, I went from just being in the bedroom like a lot of DJs, and then, transitioned into doing some clubs and events. Mm-hmm. And then I had some homies that I met through the local hip hop scene, underground hip hop scene, that they had a group, and they needed me to DJ or they asked me to DJ for them. So I was like, cool, so that's another element of DJing is live show, being the DJ.
Being the DJ for the group,
Yeah. So it was some homies from Orange County. It was a crew called the Youth International Party.
Got it.
And from there transitioned into let me backtrack.
Yeah.
So in this time I was doing hip hop, and then I remember when I would DJ some sets, I would just throw reggae into it, because our background,
got it.
We always listen to reggae, so I would just play some reggae here and there, and then I noticed the energy would change,
The whole vibe would change.
The vibe would change. So where the hip hop scene is it's really masculine driven.
It's almost like a breath of fresh air when you drop a reggae record with a hip hop crowd.
It would be more like dudes, like circles, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hip hop dancers and circles, and so the girls would always be on the sidelines,
Yeah.
Then you drop a reggae song and all the girls want to dance. So I was like, oh, okay, hold on, man.
You're like, so this is gonna get the ladies going.
Yeah, this is a whole different vibe. So I kind of started playing more reggae.
Yeah.
And then Then I had a homie that was that I met, who was from the Beat Junkies.
Got it.
That he was kind of more transitioning to reggae also.
Yeah.
So he wanted to have like, reggae is sound systems. You know, the DJs, and that's kind of like what we do.
Got it.
What I'm saying? So from there, I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna just
shout out the Beat Junkies, by the way, too.
Shout out the Beat Junkies, man. OGs from the LA area, and the
legends.
Bay.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it was like, you know what, man, I like the reggae vibe, you know.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that more, and then making mixtapes. I've been making hip hop mixtapes too, but reggae mixtapes, and then that transitioned me into kind of like, you know what, let me focus on that. You know? And
so you kind of picked up the reggae part by seeing that in the transition, what you were making from hip hop.
Yep. Yeah. Just from like liking the vibe myself, and then just seeing a different vibe in the party. You know what I'm saying? And it being about including everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go to a hip hop show and it's about a DJ, most times they're just standing there watching the DJ.
Got it.
But if
you kind of wanted them to kind of have a good time,
just party, and you know what I'm saying, like you and your girl, or if it's a bunch of girls, they can dance and feel included in whatever's going on. So that happened, and then so I just started focusing more on doing like basically including reggae into my sets.
Got
and
it.
Then, so from there I ended up moving to Hawaii, and fast forwarding, I moved to Hawaii in 2008.
Yeah.
And from there I had met Boog.
Shout out our brother Jay Boog.
Yeah, brother Jay Boog.
Grammy nominated island reggae artist.
But it's funny. So there's a backstory behind that too. So I'd make these mixtapes and I'd sell them at different shops around town. And
in Hawaii?
No, in LA.
Oh, in LA, okay.
Yeah, in LA. Before I went, I would go to Hawaii and I would sell them at like the swap meet. I would meet up with a dude. He would buy some off me.
And you were doing this in LA as well?
I was doing it in LA. Basically, that was my hustle. You know
Got
what I'm saying? Was just slanging CDs, mix CDs. And I don't know if it was Boog himself or somebody in his family that had picked up some of my mixes.
Oh, nice.
And so when I went to this shop in Long Beach to go basically re-up or whatever, the dude was like, my homie Zeke, shout out Zeke. He was like, yo, this dude Jay Boog want to link up with you. He wants to do something with you, you know? And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm about ready to leave town.
And he wasn't big at the time?
He had his first album out.
Okay, got it. He had the Hear Me Roar album.
He had the Hear Me Roar. So he showed me the album, and I had heard a Boog, but I wasn't really up on him like that, you know?
Got it.
Because I was more into like the music from Jamaica.
And that came about because he was from Compton. So that's always in the same area as LA.
Yeah, it's like pretty much, Boog went to Paramount High School. This shop is like on the border of Paramount in Long Beach. So
all the music lovers went to that shop to get their mixed CDs and all that.
Yeah, and especially like it's right, it's a lot of like islanders in that area.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So some people know about the shop, some people don't, but it was a fixture in the area.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You would go there to get your like whatever, Rasta gear, mixtapes, and so
all the bootleg shit too.
Oh yeah, they had the bootleg.
All the
machine,
bootleggers was out there too.
Bootleg machine in the back.
Yeah,
I burned a couple CDs on there myself. But so yeah. Anyhow, Boog wanted to link up. We didn't get the chance, and then I moved to Hawaii. But he was already out there as well.
In Hawaii.
He was going back and forth because he recorded his first album out there. So then I ended up running into him at a show. Yeah, and it was just like, yo,
just randomly.
Yeah, it was a show, and it was just like, yo, what's up? I know who he was. It was basically one of the things like, oh,
mutual respect. Yeah.
And then we didn't really talk. And then I ended up doing a party for this company Fitted in Hawaii.
Fitted Hawaii.
Fitted Hawaii. And it was a party that Boog was coming to perform at also.
Got it. So he was one of the artists and you were DJing for that.
Yeah, but it was just like a small party at Ala Moana Beach Park. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing crazy. It was just it was a party, and I was DJing. Boog got there. He did his thing. We started chopping it up after.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, I might want you to come on the road with me.
Oh, nice.
Bro, just hit me up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that led to us going on tour. Back when he went overseas to New Zealand and Australia, and he didn't have a band to take at the time.
Oh, so you were just going with him playing the tracks?
Yep. So like I said, that's another element of it. You know what I'm saying? If you can DJ for an artist, it's another element of, you know what I'm saying?
Adding to your resume. And then you kind of say, well, what you can do this, but you can DJ for an artist on tour with a track show.
It's just another outlet, for DJing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it really, you don't get that with reggae artists because they mainly travel with a band. So
got it.
Did that, went on the road with him, and the rest is history. You know what I'm saying? That's my brother, our brother.
Shout out Boog, because we're gonna have him on the show a few times before that. But tell us how that segued into you hooking up with Damian Marley.
Well, so actually, the thing with Damian happened before that.
Oh, before the book thing.
Yeah, it happened before
Tell
that.
us about that.
Just by being a DJ in LA, a reggae DJ.
Yeah.
Damien's manager, his name is Dan Dalton. Shout
out Dan. What up, D?
Rock Nation in the building. Yeah. So he managed a hip hop group called Jurassic 5.
Got it. Yeah. Jurassic, that's legendary right
Underground hip hop.
Shout out Charlie Tuna.
Yep, the whole crew. DJ Newmark, Cut Chemist.
Yeah.
So anyhow, he ended up managing Damien.
Got it.
And so because he comes from both worlds, right? So he would grab my homie DJ What at the time, and me.
Yeah.
We started doing some gigs, opening for Damien, if he had shows in LA or just the LA area, Southern California area.
Now at this point in time, is Damien out there like that? Like, is he a known fixture in the reggae community? I mean, of course he's a Marley, but I'm saying this is like Welcome to Jamrock days, or this is pre?
Yeah,
Welcome to Jamrock?
This is pretty much like right at the height of Welcome to Jamrock, the album dropping.
Yeah,
and him doing like shows around town in LA, and just kept the link with him from there. But Dan Dalton is a big reason why that link happened.
Because if you guys don't know Westafa by now, Westafa has dreads that go all the way down to his Achilles.
They're extensions, man.
Yeah, but you've been mistaken for Damien numerous times.
Yep.
And I've caught it firsthand because we'd be out and they'd be like, I think that's Damian Marley. And
you know, it's funny. I'm going to say this. Damien actually got mistaken for me one time.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell us about that.
He was at Dub Club in LA. It's a spot, a reggae club every Wednesday. Shout out Dub Club. And one of my homies that I came up with, he went there and thought that was me.
Yeah.
So he went up and was like, yo, Westafa. He's like, oh, man, I thought you were Westafa. And Damien looked at him like, yo, Westafa. So that's a funny story, man. I'm sure that was probably.
But that's dope, though. I mean, people everywhere we go, people ask you about these dreads. Well, how long they're about what? Because how tall are you?
I'm about 5'10".
And then your dreads are about
probably 6
feet.
feet.
So, yeah. If you guys seen Westafa's dreads, you see these things.
It's time for a little trim, man.
You see how he has it like you carry it with you, show everybody to see. You guys thought it was just somebody in his lap. Those are actually his dreads there.
It's not a pet dog, man. This is my hair right here.
And normally when we go on tour, he wrap himself up. If we don't have no blankets or something, he'll wrap himself up in those dreads.
Multi-purpose, man. It's a pillows, cocoon. The blankets, whatever I need it to be.
But doing with Boog, going with Boog on tour and messing with Damian Marley, like what are some artists that you haven't yet worked with that you would say, I would love to go on tour with them? Dead or alive?
Oh, dead or alive? Shoot, Bob Marley, that's number one,
Do you think Bob would accept having a DJ? He was so into the instrumentation of everything that was going on. I just figure when you say somebody like Bob Marley, where they would be like, oh, I don't believe in DJs, man.
No, I mean, like,
Bob Marley.
Don't ever do that again.
Yeah, please, sorry.
But no, I mean, like, so actually we work with Steven also.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it would be the same thing,
Yeah.
Bob was, I think, somebody who was ahead of his time and somebody that was a visionary.
Got it.
And basically somebody that could foresee like things, So if he was here in the present day, I'm sure he would be up on it the same way.
Anybody in hip hop with your background? You said Bob Marley, but anybody in hip hop that you would have said, I don't went on tour with them.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, shit, anybody, anybody that we vibe with, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody who I really never met that I think would be super dope to meet would be Snoop.
Oh yeah,
just like that connection.
Come on, Snoop, we got to get you on the show
him
too.
Being the triple OG.
Snoop's doing everything too, so he may do the show. He's doing everything from Bollywood to commercials. He's doing American Song Contest hosting. So it's not impossible for him to meet us over here.
Yeah, I mean,
because Snoop is definitely a legend from the LBC.
Cisco's hometown, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, if you wasn't doing the DJing, what would you be doing?
Man,
would the dreads be here without music and what you're doing now? That's why I asked that question.
I feel like it. I mean, I feel like so because at the time when I did move to Hawaii, what the big thing that I really wanted to do was it sounds crazy, but it was farming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was on
ganja farming.
No, not even that. Basically, I was just on this thing about
it's like real farming.
Yeah, like just basically, being like self-sustaining. You know what I'm saying? That whole lifestyle. Yeah, like basically, I was on some shit where I was like, yo,
You had a spiritual moment.
It wasn't even that. It was just like, basically thinking because I was just thinking of how could I be off the grid?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not need to worry about like
going to a store or something.
Yeah.
Like
So
that.
I was like, yo, if I could just live in a place where I grow my own food,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And you know,
this
like,
is all making sense now because you make the best juices. If you guys don't know,
Yep.
Wes makes his juices. I'm talking about we made some juices today.
Today,
that it was
yeah.
like kale and so that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
as
so
far
imagine if you could just grow that,
Yeah.
right? You just go in the backyard, you pick it, and you got it right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So nature provides everything that we need. It's just that we get caught up in, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like the day-to-day and the systems and stuff like that.
the rat race that we living in right now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not ideal, or
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, but or it is ideal, but it's not practical. You know what I mean?
Do you still see that being in the future?
For sure.
After you're done doing what we're doing?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, I mean, I would, right now, I have stuff planted at the crib. You know what I mean? But it's like
Plants, like your actual planting in boxes and all that.
No, it's not even. It's not. I mean, it's not just plants. It's just stuff that I would use.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's not like it's not perfect or anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But ideally, I would want to.
But you know your way around the don't get it twisted. You know your
Yeah.
way around the kitchen.
Yeah, I got a little green thumb. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And I know my way around the kitchen. But that's really what it comes from. You know
Got
what I'm
it.
saying? It's just like, what do you need to survive? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You need food and shelter. You know.
Yeah.
And so those things can be provided by just like in the islands they was doing that from,
Exactly.
from,
They was getting
forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the islands they were basically self-sustaining.
Now, is that how you keep your skinny physique? Because if you guys know, this West Staffa weighs about 37 pounds soaking wet. So is that how you keep that? Because, I fluctuate between my weight between like 400 and 200 pounds. I'm in the middle all the time.
Yeah,
How do
yeah.
you just stay where you're at? Because every time we go, you just drink juice all day.
Yeah, I mean that's a part of it. I mean,
You don't do red meat?
nope. No,
See?
and I haven't been on that for a while. And a
I
lot
can
of
do
that,
that.
so, basically like what was a blessing for me was, getting exposed to a Rasta lifestyle, and that's
Tell us about that, because that's like a Ja Rastafarian lifestyle that they do only eat from the earth, right?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. You know
Got
what I'm
it.
saying? But there's no like laws. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
it's like you got to do it this way.
Yeah.
From my experience, it's just like whatever is best for you, you do that.
Well, speaking of food from the earth, you have to explain to our viewers what kava is. Because I know I should know more about it than you do, but you obviously are a kava enthusiast. And when
Wow,
we say
you said
kava, you guys
enthusiast.
know that if you know West Staffa, he rolls synonymous with kava. So tell them what kava is, because they're going to be seeing a lot of that on the show. So that's why we might as well get it out of the way now.
Kava is a plant that comes from the Pacific Islands. All the islands grow it.
It's a root, right?
Yeah, anywhere from Hawaii to I don't know about New Zealand and Tahiti, but
I know like Samoa has their,
Samoa, Tonga, the Marshall Islands, Guam, like
they all have their own.
It's the same
kava.
plant,
Yeah.
but they have different names for it, and it's basically a plant that's been used for centuries, and it's a medicinal plant. It's a ceremonial plant, and
Got
it's
it.
Traditional and now recreational. So
Now,
it's
how do
basically-
you, without doing a whole, how do you make it? Like, how do you make it from the root into the liquid form?
So we don't. I mean, obviously we don't grow it, but
Yeah.
there's farms that come from different islands. Fiji, Samoa's not really as big. There is Samoan kava. Tonga, Hawaii. They got basically places that grow it,
Got
and
it.
then from there you harvest the plant. You got to grow it for so many years. You harvest the plant, and then from there you take the roots. The roots is where the magic is.
Yeah.
So you can. I've even seen it where it's like wet. The roots are wet, but most of the time you dry out the roots, you grind it up into a fine powder. From there, it
He's
gets
saying this
shipped
now,
out.
but on one of our shows, we definitely will have a live.
Oh, it's coming.
film.
It's supposed to be coming in a little bit. I don't know how much time we
Oh,
got
okay, so we
left,
might be
but-
coming here already.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
So
coming.
when they see West Staffa and they know how to get your attention, kava is probably how to get your attention.
Man, I'm gonna tell you like this. I've never been like I used to smoke a lot and and drink here and there, but then once
Once you found the kava,
yeah, to me it's like a liquid form of weed. You know what I'm saying? It's a body high. And it's like I said, it's a ceremonial drink, but we're not doing that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? We're just and a lot of people that a lot of our friends that are LDS or they drinking is not part of their lifestyle.
but they
you
could
know?
drink kava.
Well, I would say some of them can, or
Yeah.
they choose to because
it.
it's not alcohol. You know what I mean?
See?
And it's not.
So
weed,
if I get
it's-
pulled over after a night of kava, they can't take me in for a DUI?
They could, depending on how faded you are, you know.
Because if you guys don't know, kava gets you faded.
Yep.
If you drink enough of it, it gets you there.
Yep.
Like just like being a drunk high or a weed high, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you said it's more like a body high though.
Yeah, it's more like, but I mean, trust me, man. I've gotten there. A lot of people have gotten to that point where it's like, yeah, you don't want to be driving.
Exactly.
You know?
See, they call the kava man. So before we go into my aspect of the whole thing, where do you see the Western Conference podcast platform being for what we're doing now?
Wait, say that again?
Where do you see the Western Conference podcast going towards now that we're doing what we do now with the festivals? How do you see this platform being open for everybody that we mess with, like the resources that we have?
Well, it's, I mean, nowadays it's like everybody got a podcast, you know what I'm saying? So why not do our, explain our stories and have our guests on and kind of use it as a platform to promote what else we're doing, you know? But then at the same time, giving people a closer look into who we are, you know what I mean? And our personalities and how.
And I think that's what was needed. I think people seen us on stage but didn't know who we were.
Yeah.
They knew they know us from like our social media and our Instagram presence but everyone's not going to post their losses. They're not going to post. They're going to post all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good platform for us to kind of say who's Wes Stoffa, because people don't know when we do the shows. I'm like in the front of the stage and Wes is still in the back, but I want people to know who you are because you're still a big intricate part of this Dub C podcast.
Yep. I mean, it's funny, like even with hip hop, DJing is always like the most important aspect.
Yeah.
Like the DJ. Well, so let me backtrack. Which a lot of people know the story, a lot of people don't. But hip hop was started from the format of it coming from Jamaica. Right? So
yes.
In Jamaica, that's why I said what we do is kind of like a sound system thing, because in Jamaica, sound systems,
they have
basically, well, sound systems were the ones that did the parties.
Like the sound clashes and the sound
so dance hall was a place. It wasn't necessarily a genre of music.
Yeah.
It was a place that you would go to have a party.
Got it.
With a DJ playing, not a band. A DJ would be playing, but it would be a sound system. So these guys would bring their whole speaker boxes. They would have
it was a show. It was a show.
Yeah, it was basically what we do.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So it's like we don't bring the speakers, but it's like we come and we create a vibe and we control the whole night.
Exactly.
So the DJ would basically be the selector, the guy that's choosing the music. Then you would have another guy that's on the mic that's kind of interacting with every song that's coming on. And then from
exactly
there,
what we do. Yeah.
Exactly, bro. And even to modern day sound systems, now you have a guy that's on the. I mean, some people do both, but for the most part, you have a guy that's on the turntables, selecting and controlling the music. You have another guy that's on the mic, controlling the crowd, So I look at like what we do is in the same vein. You know what I mean? It's exactly the same thing. But
it definitely takes from that element of the sound clash and the sound systems for sure.
Yeah, and so at the time, these guys that were on the mic, they started getting witty, and just like, having like kind of like rhyming on the mic. But it was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So basically, the guy that started hip hop in New York, Kool Herc, DJ Kool Herc, shout out DJ Kool Herc, OG. He's Jamaican.
Yeah.
And I think it was his uncle or somebody had a sound system in Jamaica.
And Kool Herc kind of pulls from that.
But he was playing more American records. You know what I'm saying? Like disco and funk and stuff like that. And then that's how the thing got started in LA.
See, that's what I'm trying to say, Wes. I don't think the sound system culture or what we do is not respected as it should be. Maybe I'm being biased because that's what we do. I think if you see all these shows that kind of don't have the element that we bring to a show, I feel like they're doing their audience a disservice. And I don't like to say that all the time, but I try to tell people we're the difference makers in a show. And I don't even beat my own horn either, but but that's what we do. So with that said, I know we got a little bit of time, but what are the questions you have for me so people know who I am?
Well, I mean,
see, I knew you was gonna do this shit.
I already know.
You know me.
Most part.
Okay.
For our listeners,
yes,
I would
for the
say,
viewing audience,
I would say, okay, you know what? So, how did you get started doing what you're doing? Well, you kind of
went into that, but I think what we're doing now, like, I didn't want to fully go full DJ, only because when you're a DJ in a Polynesian family, you're the family DJ. You're doing the birthday party, you're doing the graduation, you're doing everything. So it's not that I didn't want to do it. It's like I love playing music for my family. And when I did see another DJ, being hired for a family event, I'd be like, I probably wouldn't have did that. And that's just as a DJ now, because people always get it twisted where there's like, oh, Cisco's not a real DJ. It's like, I never said I was, the disc jockey or turntablist.
Yeah.
I know what a vibe is.
Man, I'm going to say this, man. Like, everybody and their mama's a DJ now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're not a DJ, I don't know who is.
To be respectful to the DJs out there who put in the work, who did what they had to do. I came late to the party, but I say that if you know how to vibe and you know how to put some music together, you don't have to say, "Oh, well, I'm like the turntable master, Big Body Cisco."
there's so many different types of DJs.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's just anybody that knows music and can control music. Like to me, that's a DJ. Like,
and that's where I fall into. I fall into the vibe DJ. I can vibe any room. What we do, like if you're booked for another show and I end up doing a show by myself, we can bring that same vibe to it. But it always looks better when it's me and you.
Yeah.
But I think that's all it's all about, because now it transitions to what we do now. It's called Twitch. You know, I wanted to get Twitch in there, where Twitch during the pandemic is where a lot of DJs went. West Alpha will be there soon, but you know, when we couldn't do when we couldn't do the clubs and we couldn't do the festivals, the shows that we were doing, we had to go somewhere to kind of like still share our love for the music. And I was doing it on Instagram Live and I was doing it on Facebook Live, and we kept getting shut down. The copyright thing was oh, you're playing songs. So, but the vibe was there. You had all these people from across the world on your Facebook Live, on your Instagram Live. And I was like, okay, D-Nice. D-Nice was doing the quarantine, you know, during when everyone had to stay home. It was D-Nice that was able to play all these songs on Instagram Live, but he wasn't getting shut down. So I was like, wait, why is he not getting shut down, but I'm getting shut down? Yeah. So that was just all whatever politics they had with Instagram. Then Twitch, which is based in San Francisco, reached out to me and was like, hey, I've seen you on Instagram Live. I've seen you on Facebook Live. You should do your DJ sets on Twitch.
Yeah.
At this time, it's a video game platform.
Yep.
So I'm like, yeah, well, I don't really play video games like that. So, but how would I do it? So they were telling me the whole thing. And I seen Shortcut had did it. Franzen had did it. A lot of my DJ friends started to do it. We were still new to it, but we weren't getting shut down.
Yeah.
Then there was production value to it, where we could have a green screen. We can have all these different elements into our Twitch channel. So I still do that to this day. So definitely go check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Big Body Cisco, but shameless plug. But I think the love for the music that we have can be shared across the world, because if I do on my Twitch shows, I do Love Jones on Tuesdays, I do Island Vibes on Wednesdays, Happy Hour on Thursdays. You're your own boss at that point. Yeah. You could play any whatever, and all the DJs go there to kind of just say, look, I'm going to play this music for this amount of time. Franzen, shout out DJ Franzen in Las Vegas. He did 365 days in a row.
That's crazy.
Every night he was on Twitch. But that just shows you the love of music that we wanted to share with people that we couldn't. Yeah. We was doing 2 years in the pandemic where, you know, now that we have the podcasting, we were podcasting before the pandemic, but now it says, you know what? All these elements and all these lessons that we've learned from what we grew up and what we've had can come full circle into the Western Conference podcast.
Yep.
You do what you do, I do what I do. And we have such a big, huge resource. You know, we have a Rolodex full of people that we could talk to, from UFC fighters to football players to baseball players to all the artists that we mess with, like from J Boog to Fiji. And I felt it was time for us to sit down and say, you know what, Wes? Western Conference podcast is way overdue.
Yeah.
Through these episodes, this being episode 1, you guys are going to learn who we are. You guys are going to learn, you know, where we came from and what we do and how we do. Why I wanted to do Who is Dub C on episode 1 was kind of like a reference. You know, when you have like cheat notes, when you have to take a test, people don't know who we are. If they watch like an episode 40 or 41, they're like, who are these dudes?
Yeah.
You always, what I got to tell the people that are going into podcasting and going to anything that's going to be live, people don't know who you are right off the bat. They don't know who Big Body Cisco is. They don't know who West Alpha is. They're going to see us later on and be like, who are these guys? And that's why episode 1 can kind of be their reference to be like, oh, okay, yeah, you don't know who we are? Go check out episode 1 of the Western Conference podcast.
Yeah.
So when I think the people now that know that we're doing this podcast are hitting my phone, hitting the DMs, and hitting all the Instagram messages, be like, dude, when can we get on the show?
Yeah.
So where do you see, because not just here at Sticky Paws, we want to be able to take this show on the road.
Yep.
Because we were talking about Cali Roots. We do this Cali Roots Festival in Monterey Memorial Day weekend, where they have artists from Ice Cube. I think a few years ago they had Nas, Damian Marley, and all of our friends, you know, J Boog and all that. We want to bring those interviews to you guys because I think it's going to be everyone can interview anybody, right? I think it's the way we kind of like do our interviews. People know us, you know what I mean? So if you guys know me too, I fuck around with everybody. I really don't give it. Not that I'm trying to go viral or anything, but I'm most likely one of these clips are going to go viral in these whole Western Conference podcasts that you guys will probably see on social media.
Yep.
And speaking of social media, where could they find you, Wes?
Shit, everywhere pretty much at West Alpha, WESTAFA. Yeah.
And how'd you get that name? I know there's a story behind the name.
I like to say it's a mystery.
Oh, you keeping it a mystery?
No, it was just one of my best friends.
Mine's a horrible story, so I'll tell it next. But go ahead.
Yeah, one of my best friends, he saw some movie and the dude name was Mustafa, and he thought he reminded him of me.
So Mustafa and Westafa kind of came together.
Yeah, he started calling me Westafa, and then at first I was like, okay, but he was like one of those homies that would just like, he was a clown.
Yeah, he was talking shit anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really talking shit, but he was just like, he always came up with a nickname for somebody.
Yeah. That's kind of like I am.
I was like, whatever, and then next thing you know, all my homies was calling me
Westafa.
that. Yeah, or they was just calling me Stafa,
And that's crazy how like you can market that now.
Yeah.
Like Westafa could be like, you have your hats that you sell, your t-shirts. It's crazy how something like that, like a name that comes out of Mustafa and West, that comes about, like Big Body. So that's in our rapping days when we all thought we were rappers.
Yeah.
My cousin Fanga, they called him Boss Breaker. And he had 2 B's. So we were all rappers at the time. And he was like, oh, you can't just be Cisco. You have to have some kind of like, name. And I was like, okay, like MC Cisco? He's like, nah, So you start going through the name process.
Yeah.
Because it has to be a BB since he was Boss Breaker. I thought it was just because I had a big body. So I was like, oh, so he was like, you need to do big body because you have a big body and I'm Boss Breaker.
But wait, where did Cisco come from?
So look, that's a whole nother story too, because Cisco comes. My name is Simaile Fiatangaluialutu. It's a long name.
Yeah.
But my uncle, who I was named after, he was a singer in Samoa and Hawaii, and he went under the name Cisco.
Okay.
So I can sing too. But my uncle Cisco, his name was Simaile. I was named after him.
Yeah.
But his name was Cisco. So people was like, oh, because you're in San Francisco, you was named like that. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it
Cisco
at all.
from San Francisco.
Yeah. That sounds so horrible too. But Big Body Cisco came from that, and it was Big Body Cisco, and to this day it stuck.
Okay.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You guys are going to find out all these little tidbits and all these little nuggets of information that we have for you guys. But
no, it's funny. People think like my name, like basically they think all different kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
They think like, oh, Westafari. It's not that serious, man. It was just a name.
But you know what? You'd be surprised what these names can do. Like now it's a household name within our demographic. Well, they know who a Westafa is. They know who a Big Body Cisco is. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a story behind J Boog. I'm pretty sure there's a story behind Fiji and all the other artists that are out there. But those stories are the ones that people want to hear.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've kind of heard all the stories from all of our friends about how these names came about. But yeah, it's definitely cool,
See, that's what I'm talking about. And that's why we have this. So look, before we get up out of here, we want to make sure.
Hold on. I ain't done. I got a couple more questions.
Oh, do you for me?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I was trying to get out of that one right away.
Yeah,
what we got?
No. Okay, so if you wasn't doing what you're doing, what would you be doing?
Man, before as you can tell already, I'm a salesman. Yep. I've been in sales all my life. So, I could sell sand to a camel, all the isms over there, but
before you go on, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. We were on tour, I think last year or the year before, and we had a show in San Francisco.
Don't see.
In this part of San Francisco, right? I'm like, we were walking back and forth from the venue to the hotel. I don't know what part of San Francisco this was. But
You're talking about the tenderloins, ladies and gentlemen. The tenderloins, you know what I'm talking about?
I was like, man, you know what? It all makes sense now. I'm seeing like pretty much the whole environment.
See,
I said,
Wes is talking about, he's talking about Market Street and right there by look, it's real gutter over there. So that's why there was like human shit on the ground. I was like, oh, watch out for that shit. He's like, is that dog shit? I was like, no, that's human shit. Like somebody just plopped the quiet and just shit it on the floor. And
but it's like right in the mix. It's like you got a nice ass mall right here, and then it's like straight grimy. So
that's downtown San Francisco for you, baby.
Okay, it makes sense now. Yeah. Cisco comes from this soil right here.
Yeah, when we went over there, he was like, oh, so now everything makes sense now. See, you ain't shit for that. What else you got?
Oh, yeah. So we need to know the story. If you guys don't know, Cisco was on Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh, here we go. So how much time we got? We got 10 minutes left? Okay, look. I'm going to give you a quick rendition and quick story how I was on Dog the Bounty Hunter. I think I'm not supposed to talk about it, but since it's been years now, if you guys watch the show Dog the Bounty Hunter with Beth and everybody, they did an episode where they came to the Bay Area. And they were actually looking for an individual that looked similar to me. It was my brother, but it was cool. He looked similar to me. And they came to our football practice looking for him, and they had grabbed me. And this is all, we have cameras there. We have Leland, his son, was trying to grab me at the time. I was about to whoop Leland's ass. But when I had Leland's hand and I was pushing it away, everyone behind me, you don't see there's like 100 cops behind them, 100 Daly City PD. So I was like, okay, nah. They was like, oh, no, get on the ground. I was like, nah, I'm not getting on the ground. But what they don't show you is they came to the nightclubs where I was DJing and hosting that, looking for the same person. But they had drew guns against it, like drew shotguns and everything.
Oh, damn.
Like, so they don't show any of that, but that ended up being a premiere episode for Dog the Bounty. It was a 2-episode airing that you won't see now, and I can't disclose why you won't see it anymore. but you will never see that episode again. But just know that people who were able to see that episode, they showed it for like 2 weeks. And then like everywhere I went after that, when they stopped showing it, everyone's like, hey, you was on Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Dang, that's crazy.
I'm talking about from bouncers to, you had people from trailer parks like, hey man, you was on Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Because pretty much anything that goes live, you can find it somewhere. But
yeah, but this one you won't be able to find. And that's just through a court order, which I can't speak too much about, but you won't find that episode nowhere.
Oh. If
you do hit me and we're cool like that, I might send you the episode because I still got the link myself.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I can't send it to you either because you're going to do little clips and put it on there too. But yeah, shout out Dog the Bounty Hunter. Rest in peace to Beth. And at that time, we wasn't really messing with them like that, but they were looking for somebody that I looked like that person, my brother. And then I wasn't there, and then they aired an episode. So now I'm Dog the Bounty Hunter famous. See, reality show time. See, there's all different facets to this whole thing with Western Conference. You're going to get the Dog the Bounty Hunter story. You're going to get Mustafa and Damian Marley, but that's what we want you guys to know, that with the Western Conference podcast, you guys will we're going to hit everything from sports. Speaking of sports, before we get over, who's your favorite sports team, Wes, so people know?
Lakers, baby.
And football?
The Rams, man. We repping LA all the way, through and through.
And I'm actually representing the Golden State Warriors and the San Francisco 49ers. But ask me why I don't like the Lakers. Let's tell that story.
Well, I know why you don't like the Lakers. But for our listeners out there, why don't you like the Lakers, man?
So look, my family was huge Showtime Laker fan. Remember, we lived in Long Beach.
Yes, sir.
That was a time of the Lakers, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and we lived by Silverado Park. In Long Beach. If you know Long Beach, you know where Silverado Park's at. They had a basketball camp there with James Worthy. Big Game James. Had a nice little basketball camp. I was there. All the kids were there. He was signing autographs. I was the last kid. Imagine this. I was like maybe 8, 9, maybe 10. Last person in line with a basketball ready to get signed by James Worthy. He patted me on my head, first of all, like I was a dog. Patted me, was like, not right now. And then walked the fuck away. I was like, ever since this day, fuck James Worthy and fuck the Lakers. This is all good excuse to not be a Laker fan anymore. But if people don't know that story and people don't know the backstory with James Worthy, so to this day, James Worthy has these collectible shows that he goes signs autographs with, and I go to those shows to remind him that he didn't sign my shit. I don't get anything signed. I just tell him, hey, I'm the one that you didn't sign, motherfucker. And the security escorts me out. And then after that, I just know that I feel better to tell that motherfucker.
So that was around what year?
That was 85, 86.
So you mean to tell me from that time all the way till the Warriors got good, you was a Warriors fan?
No, because as soon as we moved to the Bay Area, I tore down all my Showtime Lakers stuff. And remember that time we were supposed to get jumped into the gang, we moved up to the Bay Area. So as I'm in my transition of tearing all the Lakers stuff up, we're like, we got introduced to the Golden State Warriors. So we're living here now. So my brother, my dad, and everybody, they're still Laker fans to this day. But I'm the only one that kind of moved to the Bay Area and took to the Golden State Warriors. They were bad at that time too. Yeah. The San Francisco 49ers.
Were they?
So. But now they're good though, so shout them out.
You had to go through some tough years being a Warriors fan.
Before we get up out of here, man, what shout out you have for our first show this is show number 1, Wes. This is going to probably be, people always feel that this is with the show that you're supposed to fail on. But I think we did pretty good for our first one.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's like a conversation, you know what I mean? A lot of the things I already knew, but for our listeners, shout out everybody that supported me and Cisco over the years, and anybody that just checks for our vibe and our energy, man. We got a lot of stuff in the works coming up, and we'll see you guys somewhere along the line.
Absolutely. I'm telling you guys, because we're still to this day doing what we do. We got a lot so now with the pandemic being over and festivals starting to come about, shows starting to come about, we're starting to get back on the road. So you'll definitely see me and Mustafa doing what we do. We have shows at Adelanto. We got the Cali Vibe or the Cali Roots Festival. So you'll definitely see us there. But I think this is going to be something different and something for you guys to kind of say, hey, they do a podcast too.
Yeah.
And to see the people that we interview and kind of see the people that we talk to in the way we talk to them is going to be a fun podcast. So with that said, you can find us at Big Body Cisco on Instagram and
at Mustafa.
And we're currently working on a Western Conference podcast Instagram right now, but I didn't know so many people had Dub C Podcast as a user handle already.
Well, we got We Are Dub C.
Yeah, We Are Dub C. That's We Are WC for Instagram as well.
Yeah.
And you can also catch me on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Big Body Cisco. And you can see me on there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights.
Yep.
And you soon, right?
Yeah, I'm coming soon. Twitch family, I'm coming soon.
He bullshitting over here. But that is our time. Thank you guys once again. I'm your boy, Big Body Cisco. This is Mustafa. We are the Western Conference Podcast. Peace.